You're talking about the NBA. There is no they in boxing. There never has been. And the UFC, it is a brand that you know and trust. And you watch a UFC event, you know the investment of your time. It was time well spent. Really popular, that's because of Dana White. He built something like the NBA. Stop now, because he's about to do it for boxing again. For boxing now. You want an NBA or an NFL in boxing? Here it comes. Because he knows how to build an institution.
Again with the left hand. Then he goes to the body with it that time, changing levels.
You know who he's almost fighting like, Andre? Like Roy Jones, but there was only one Roy Jones who could get away with that kind of style, right? Like not throwing a jab at all, jumping in with one shot.
He's the ultimate rule breaker.
But he had the most talent we've ever seen, the most speed, the most power. Callum has speed and power, but not Roy Jones. And that style does not work for mere mortal fighters.
It is 100% official. Pack this man up. Max Kellerman is terrible. His debut on Zuffa Boxing. I'm going to break all of that down in this video. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. I got a quick PSA. Believe me, don't believe me. I don't really care. You have people who are being paid to shill and those like me that are gonna keep it real. So pay attention to the energy. Believe me, don't believe me, it don't matter. Max Kellerman has sold boxing out. It is confirmed. The stuff he is saying on these Dana White, Turkey, TKO, Zuffa Boxing cards are completely ridiculous. One, the clip you heard at the beginning was from the debut main event show with Zuffa Boxing on Paramount Plus, right? And he's talking about Caleb Walsh. You know, he's kind of fighting like Roy Jones Jr. Then he goes on to say that nobody fights like Roy. You can't be humanly possible like Roy. Then why did you just say that? Right? I don't like boxing commentary where someone makes a point and then seconds later is redundant because you kind of just contradict yourself. To even utter the words that Caleb Walsh has any semblance to Roy Jones Jr. in a fight with Ocampo, these people are trying to oversell you a product, period. And you can always tell when you're being oversold because it sounds like a scam. You know how your phone will be like, spam likely when certain numbers pop up? Like, this don't look like a number. This ain't in your saved contact list. This is probably spam. You might as well put Max Kellerman in spam likely because that's what his career has become. And it's sad because I used to believe, like way back when he was on HBO, I was like, man, this dude is pro boxing because he stood for something different, right? My boy Guillermo El Chico Regandao, when he was trying to fight Nonito Donaire, a lot of people were like hating and saying he don't deserve to fight. And Max was sticking up for the pure boxer. But along the years, his respect dwindled from boxing fans because of his conduct, right? He went on rants on podcasts or shows or whatever, talking about how Al Heyman, a manager in boxing, who every fighter who's ever been really associated and with Al Heyman said he took care of them, he cares for the fighters, fair pay, blah, blah, blah. Max Kellerman literally went on rants along with Jim Lampley in old media talking about how Al Heyman was ruining the market and overpaying fighters. Now, when Turkey comes in TKO boxing and Dana White, he's completely glazing and acting like everything they're doing is holy and boxing was in a desperate and destitute spot until these guys came in as saviors. And it's cap. It is cap. 2023 was a huge year for boxing where you had Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Davis. You had an undisputed fight with Crawford and Errol Spence that people were anticipating. That was in a matter of months. Turkey has not, or TKO, have not provided 2 fights in a matter of months that in America are bigger than that. And then now they're trying to oversell you people like Caleb Walsh, some Irish dude who looks to be kind of mid, right? If I'm being honest. And here's also what Max Kellerman had to say.
I have literally been waiting for this, for right now, my entire life, since I was a little kid. There's never been a major league of boxing. It just hasn't existed. Hey, you know what they should do in football?
The man said he'd been waiting his whole life for this moment. Dana White, Zuffa Boxing.
In football leagues, you're talking about the NFL. You're talking about Roger Goodell. You're talking about the NBA. There is no they in boxing. There never has been. Hey, you know what they should do in MMA?
It still ain't no day in boxing. Zuffa and Dana White, as of right now, TKO group, they don't even have no stars bigger than Gervonta Davis, no star bigger than David Benavidez at this moment. Jai Opataya, that's not enough. Caleb Walsh just got dropped by a guy all the PBC fighters from Fundora to Errol Spence to Tim Tszyu beat, and 2 of the 3 beat him in 1 round. And you're comparing him to Roy Jones, and he goes 10 rounds with a beat up version of Ocampo as a main event, and you're literally on the mic yelling at the mic, talking about, oh, this is what I've been waiting for since I was a kid. Bro, that card, I've made a full-fledged breakdown. I'll put a card at the end of this video. Check that. Check the video out. I've already encompassed what that card was on. It was, I would say, less than mid. The only redemptive quality was the production value was good. It was crispy, it was HD, and, you know, on the app, it was easy to find. That's it. There was not no legendary card. I would not say, hey, throw on that Caleb Walsh and Carlos Ocampo. In addition, it's a meaningless fight. Meaning, okay, Walsh just beat Fernando Vargas' son, right? That was kind of a better win than beating a Carlos Ocampo. So really, their first show was a regression. It don't make me feel Caleb Walsh is ready for guys like Jamal Charlo, or could have been ready for a middleweight guy like Triple G based on you struggling with Ocampo and getting dropped. Like, what are we talking about? But again, leave it to Max Kellerman. This is the best thing that we've ever seen, and he's doing too much to sell out and sell boxing out.
You're talking about the NBA. There is no they in boxing. There never has been. Hey, you know what they should do in MMA? You're talking about Dana White and the UFC. It is a brand that you know and trust. When you sit down and you watch a UFC event, you know the investment of your time. It was time well spent. And that's what we are hoping to do here at Zuffa Boxing. This is actually an historic night. Zuffa Boxing won tonight.
All right, I can't even listen to no more. So the man said Zuffa Boxing and UFC is a brand you can trust, right? A brand you can trust that everybody knows, and it's a historic night. First of all, it wasn't a historic night. That's for starters. Not a historic night at all. It wasn't even a memorable card, right? Then keep in mind, this is where Boxing Eagle really start to cook y'all, and y'all can see who's shilling and who's keeping it real. So he said it's a brand you can trust. Boom, Yahoo Sports. UFC 324, which is tonight's card, right? Fight canceled over suspicious betting tied to fighter injury. Bro, you can't make this up. Tonight's scheduled bout between Alexander Hernandez and Michael Johnson is off per promotional officials, right? So long story short, so you don't have to read this whole article, the UFC removed this bout because a fighter is allegedly hiding an injury, right? And the bets started to surge. They started to surge because of suspicious betting activity, because people found out some kind of way, people start betting against him, right? Look, due to irregular betting patterns, we will be keeping the limits lower on the bout. So this man just said, UFC, you can trust UFC and all this type of stuff. So it's a historic night. Justin Gaethje, another UFC fighter, right, said, I have had 14 bonuses and I haven't made over $1 million when you combine those bonuses. UFC is also dealing with antitrust lawsuits, right? Currently. So you could believe me or you could believe Max Kellerman. I'm not paid off by anybody. I'm independent, and you got people who are trying to sell you a dream, and I got to call it out. Not to mention, the man said UFC is the brand you can trust, and they're doing everything
135 and a half.
Right? They're doing everything right. Keep that in mind. Well, here was a fighter shortly after making weight. He walks off the scale and passes out.
135 and a half.
135 and a half.
Like, I ain't even trying to laugh, but it's just so funny when you connect it to Max Kellerman's previous statement. UFC is the brand you can trust, but this is a UFC fighter. So I've already went over the fighter who his fight got canceled on UFC 324 because of suspicious betting activities online when his injury got leaked or whatever. Then on the same card, another fight got canceled because the man hit weight and clearly was dehydrated and passed out. And you got Max Kellerman over here talking about this is perfect and they're going to do right by boxing and stuff like that. You got to come and try a bit harder, bro, to convince people, right? You got to do a lot better. So again, there's a bunch of content creators. I don't know if they're trying to get picked up by Dana White and Zuffa, and they're gonna shill as well, just like Max Kellerman. Take my word for it. And here's the thing, you don't even have to take my word for it. Everything I said, go look it up on yourself. Like, do your own independent research and look up all these things that I've shown you. I'm showing you receipts like this guy up here who passed out. You can verify everything I'm saying. So that's how you know when you're being sold a dream, because it's just too over the top, right? The whole Zuffa Boxing Paramount telecast, they kept telling you how boxing needed this and Zuffa. Their fighters have to wear pretty much uniforms and can't have their own individual sponsorships, right? This is like almost fascism. Like, they're in control of the fighters at this point, right? Just like the UFC, where now you got Justin Gaethje before his fight with Paddy Pimblett or whatever, and he talking about he ain't getting paid enough, right? So I'll wait to see how it plays out, but so far you're off to a disastrous start with fighter fainting, UFC 324, fight in the lightweight division, Michael Johnson's fight with Alexander, canceled over suspicious betting surges, right? Because the betting websites, they not trying to lose, and they see like, hey, why are we getting all these bets coming in at the last minute? They must know something we don't, right? Even on Yelp, right? If sometimes people do a TikTok video like, this restaurant is horrible, so there'll be a huge spike in negative reviews, and it's people that didn't even go to the restaurant, but they watched the TikTok video. They didn't like what the restaurant owner did, so it'll just be a lot of like hate mail, negative reviews. Yelp sees that in the algorithm, like, dang, he got like 100,000 negative reviews in a day, and then they'll pause it because they understand that surge is coming from somewhere, so they have to further investigate. Like, why are they getting so much like negative reviews all congested? So these algorithms are very smart and can kind of see what's going on. And that's what happened with that UFC fight. They seen a heavy increase in bets against a certain person, and they're like, hold on, this is like fishy at this point. They have fail safes like that, so people don't lose their money. And then eventually the fight got canceled. Max Kellerman is like, these are the people to trust, and everything is gravy and a historic night. Caleb Walsh, he fights like Roy Jones. And like, come on, bro. That's how you know when people are selling you something, because they're going to talk like that and do way too much. Like, it would be halfway believable if you shut up and you're just like, good nights of fights. I enjoyed it. The other complaint I have is the Meta Apex. It was like bubble pandemic fights. It was boring. No energy, just like the fights in the Riyadh where the crowd feels stale, right? And then you got these people saying this league is taking over the game, and this don't even feel like real boxing, right? When Canelo fought over there in Saudi Arabia, it didn't even feel like a Canelo fight. But when Eddie Hearn or PBC had him, they're putting him in Vegas, they're putting him in Texas, and you see the crowd. Look at Eddie Hearn when he did Canelo, Billy Joe Saunders. There were like 60, 70,000 people there. Look at PBC when they worked and did the Caleb Plant fight or the Edgar Berlanga Munguia fight. And look at the day before at the weigh-ins, how many people are there, and the electricity. These people are trying to monopolize the game. I get that. But they're also doing too much by lying, trying to change the rules. They're trying to go from 18 weight classes back to the original 8. So what does that do to fighters like Jai Opataya, who you signed? Cruiserweight was not part of the original 8 weight classes. So is he moving to heavyweight? Is he moving down to light heavyweight? Because you don't really recognize the division he fights in. And he said he wanted to be undisputed. You have Dana White, who came in, and Turkey and them, they don't want to recognize. They want to do like the UFC and recognize only their belt. So how is this man going to become undisputed? And they didn't think this through. How do you take shots at the WBC and WBA and sanctioning bodies? You have Crawford put out this anti-WBC. They're taking the fighters' money and eating dinner and going on trips because of our hard work, and put out this rhetoric. And then now you're talking about when the feedback and the backlash comes for Jai Opataya, like, hey, if he's saying he want to be undisputed, but he signed to these people, how is he going to do that? Now they have to backtrack and back off the block talking about, oh man, yeah, we'll let him fight for the sanctioning body belts. I thought you were getting rid of the sanctioning body belts. So they're off to a really rocky start. You can believe me, you can believe Max Kellerman, I don't care, but that's the truth. I'm out. If you're new to YouTube and you're struggling to get views, one tool I can provide to you is TubeBuddy. I've been on YouTube over 10 years. I use TubeBuddy daily to crank out videos just like this one that you're watching. Learn how the pros do it with TubeBuddy. YouTube receives a lot of traffic, which also means a lot of creators, a lot of people putting out content. So you need to learn the ropes so you know how to separate yourself, especially if you're new. But even if you're a pro, use TubeBuddy. The link is in the description. Get more views, more subscribers, and a higher click-through rate, so ultimately you can realize all of your online goals. Use my affiliate link in the description and grow your channel fast.